the reason that 10-minute play festivals, and there's a shocking amount of them, and there's hundreds of them around the world. When I first, my first plays that I wrote and had productions of, or actually produced like equity stage readings myself, were all full-length plays. And I sort of like scoffed at 10-minute plays. As I've been a part of them in the last 3 years, I've done many of them. First of all, it's a great way to introduce new voices to the world, and to the world of theater particularly. There are a lot of very talented playwrights out there who participate in these festivals who have not had a play on Broadway or off Broadway yet, but certainly have something to say. And I think it's a great training ground. You learn a lot. It's, a 10-minute play is not a Saturday Night Live skit. And I love Saturday Night Live. It's not a criticism of that. A 10-minute play, you've got to develop characters, develop the conflict, and find a solution in 10 minutes, and the audience has to believe it. And when they're well done, you are changed as an audience member. I mean, a well done 10-minute play can really be powerful. And like I said, they're not skits. They're not just, there's a difference between a skit and a play. And these are fully developed plots. And so I think the first thing is to give voice to emerging talent, that may be out there. It's a great opportunity for actors. There have been plays on Broadway, and the British female writer who I absolutely love, Carol, whose name I can't remember her last name, I'm so embarrassed. But anyway, she wrote a play that was 2 hours long, and it was just a series of 1 minute to 10-minute plays continuously, and the audience absolutely loved it. And so I think it's it's entertainment. It can be very entertaining, and I think people should support it because it gives actors a job, it gives playwrights a job, and it gives you an introduction to new talent that otherwise you would not see. I'm Don Loftus. If you'd like to learn more about the Talking Out Festival or my play, please watch this video. I love this festival, and I learned about it through, I know one of your other writers mentioned it on your podcast before. There's a thing called Play Submission Helper, and it was posted on there. It was also posted on the Dramatists Guild's website as a submission opportunity, and it benefits mental health awareness, mental illness awareness, sorry, and I think it's so worthwhile. It's really wonderful what Anthony is doing with this, and so the submission was to submit a play that had something to do with mental illness. And my mother had Alzheimer's, and I had written a play called Eddie and Edna, which is in the festival. Written it some time ago, from the point of view of the patient, if you will. So it was, Eddie is very, very confused. He has Alzheimer's or dementia, and he can't really sort out what's real from what's not, and including his family members. He's not sure which of them are even real and which are not. And it's a short play, and but that's what it's about. And I'm pleased to be part of this. The money raised for it will go for this Alliance on Mental Illness as a donation to them, and it's a really worthwhile cause. So I'm excited about that. It starts. Eddie and Edna are an old married couple, and he's at the breakfast table just sort of in a daze, and she brings him his coffee, and he doesn't really respond in any way. And she says, Eddie, are you okay? And he's really getting annoyed because he knows there's something wrong with him, but he can't admit it. And he's like, why do you keep asking me that? What do you think's wrong with you? Do you think I'm sick in the head? Blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I just worry about you. I just want you to be okay, blah, blah, blah. And then she, at one point, the scene goes on a bit longer than that. She leaves the kitchen, and there's a pounding at the door, and it's a young man who he's been asking about. It turns out it's their son, and he says, "Hey, Dad, don't you answer the door anymore?" He goes, "Who are you?" He has no idea who it is, and the son explains that he's their son, and he says, "But she just told me you didn't exist." And he said, "Who told you that? Who's denying my existence?" And he goes, "Edna, my wife." And the kid goes, "And my mother, Edna?" He goes, "Yes." And he goes, "When did she tell you this?" And Eddie says, "Just now. She just was making me breakfast, and she just told me." And the kid goes, "Dad, you got to face it. Mom died 4 years ago. So you're just, by the time, and you're sitting there as an audience member, and different people react to it differently. I don't ever really sort out what's real and what's not. I don't ever tell the audience that Edna is dead or isn't dead, or the son exists or doesn't exist. I just let them determine that for themselves. But it really is just to imagine what it must be like to be in that state and really have not being able to sort out the reality from what's fiction, and how frustrating that must be for the person themselves. And with my mother, in my mother's situation, fortunately, she was a happy victim of the disease. I mean, what was a bit strange for her kids was that she imagined herself almost childlike, and she thought everyone else was very old and that she wasn't. And she in fact was like 80 at this point. But she's like, I would say to her, we had to put her into a place, and I'd say, how are you doing here, Mom? She goes, "I really like it. The food's really good, but everyone is so old." And then when my sister came in, she said, "Who is she?" And I said, that's your daughter. That's Linda." And she said, "God, she's so old." And I thought, she thinks she's like, a teenager or younger. It's just amazing. But she was happy. So I was happy. I mean, because others in the same place were, just miserable, so I would rather have, if it happens to me, I would rather have it go that way, I think. And with Eddie, in my play, it's the other way. I think he's very, very frustrated. I think it's to understand his frustration, because I think that it's hard on a family. It's and friends probably, but certainly hard on a family to watch a loved one go through this. But it also you get aggravated. You can't help but get aggravated because it's such a frustrating situation. And to just try to show patience and compassion, and if it's not your family, but it's a friend of yours who's going through this, to help the audience understand what that's like and what your friend might be going through while his or her family member is suffering with this. And so I think to raise the awareness of how difficult this disease is. I've met some of the playwrights he had a sort of a pre-meeting, and I've met the actors who are doing Eddie and Edna. Now, I had Eddie and Edna done several times around the country, and I got to, it was pre-pandemic, so I actually went to see the productions. What's really interesting about this group is the three actors, because there's the actors playing the son too. It's much heavier. I mean, they're playing it much. I mean, the play's serious, and it's a drama, no matter who does it. But somehow it's more tragic with these actors. They're really sensational, and it's so I mean, that's what I'm looking most forward to, is to see their performance again. I've only seen one rehearsal, and to see to get the audience response. I've heard stories about Tennessee Williams, who, after he won the Pulitzer for any particular play, he still rewrote it. Even though the thing had already won the Pulitzer Prize, he was still re-editing. And I do that too after one of these, particularly when there's audience feedback. I get a lot of good ideas. They make, people make recommendations and whatever, or they tell me that they're confused about something, or that something took them out of the play. And so I will go back and correct that. So that's probably the first thing. I'm also anxious to see the work of the other writers. I met the writers, but I haven't heard their plays yet. I think that the audience must, and friends and family and theater lovers should really watch the Talking Out Festival, because I think the plays we all share one thing. It all has to do with mental illness. And when we look at what's going on right now in the world, and all the pressures and what everyone's going through, I mean, this is a really difficult time. And I'm 66 years old. I've never lived through anything like this, and I don't think most of us have. So, and the impact that it's having on us mentally, I know particularly like in New York for my single friends who are living alone. And they're used to. I have a friend who works. She'll kill me for saying this, but she works for Playbill, and she goes to the theater every single night. Her whole life has changed. It has just stopped, and she lives by herself. And when I talk to her, I can just hear it in her voice. She's just sad. And I think that this festival is so important. First of all, because it's a benefit. I mean, it actually it's giving money to this alliance for mental health, but it's also, I think, an opportunity for the audience to learn. So I think people must watch it to benefit themselves and maybe feel better about wherever they're at. I'm not saying that everyone's mentally ill as a result of the virus or the politics or anything else that's going on in the world, but certainly we're different than we were 4 years ago mentally. And I'm hoping the festival will help relieve some of that. Other than I'm excited about it and looking forward to it. This is my first year of participating in this particular one of the Talking Out Festival, but I love the idea that it's contributing to a cause too. I think that's I've done a couple. I've done plays for the Actors Fund and for the Dramatists Guild, raising money for those kind of things. But this is the first one I've been involved in where it actually reaches beyond theater people. And I mean, I have no idea about how much Anthony will raise as a result of this, but whatever it is, I admire him. I respect him for doing it, and I think it's exciting. I'm Don Loftus, and I'm the playwright for a play called Eddie and Edna. I'm honored to be part of the Talking Out Festival. If you've enjoyed this conversation, or if I've intrigued you in any way, I encourage you to go to the Talking Out Festival website. It's also on Facebook, and join us on the 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you.